Hi! Finally, I'm ready to share our story, my family's story on how we dealt with COVID 19 and how we survived it. Okay, first and foremost, as you can see, I'm smiling right now. I'm so happy because, like what I said, our family has survived it, the hardest blow of COVID 19. Being in Indonesia is really challenging because, this country has been dubbed as the new epicenter of COVID 19 or the pandemic in Asia. And no matter what kind of precautions that we do here, it's really difficult, especially if the environment or a lot of people in our surroundings consider it as so normal. The reason why I'm sharing this story is to spread awareness to other people, especially to those who don't believe that COVID 19 is real, especially to those who don't like to get vaccinated. And, you know, I aim to educate more people regarding the signs and symptoms based on our own experience. My husband experienced its first symptoms on June 26. We were on our way to our mountaineering activity. We were inside the car when he said that he felt dizzy. And of course, it's not normal for him to feel dizzy every time we're traveling. He would not feel that way. So he felt dizzy, and I was actually surprised. But I thought it was just a normal thing. Maybe he didn't feel well, I thought. And during our hiking activity, he expressed that he had muscle pains, specifically on his legs. But we were thinking that, of course, definitely we would have muscle pains every time we do mountaineering activities because that time it took us like 6, 7 hours of hiking back and forth from the base camp to the summit back to the base camp. So we thought that it was normal, but usually he would not feel tired. It was me who would always feel tired during our hiking activities. But that day, he was different. And then when we were at the base camp, when we were back to the base camp, there was a river there, and there was this waterfall as well. He really wanted to swim because he felt so hot. He felt uneasy. He said he wanted to to swim. But of course, it was already late, so we decided not to. But when he arrived home, without resting, he immediately took a shower because he was feeling so uncomfortable. He was feeling very hot. So that same night, he got his fever. So that was day one. And the first sign was dizziness. It was not actually fever, it was not cough. So that could be, you could also learn from that one. Dizziness could be one major sign, even before fever, even before cough. Okay, so is that particular night he had his fever. The next morning he felt that his throat is itchy, painful, and he was already coughing. It was dry cough. We were still thinking that it was not COVID because we're always protecting ourselves, especially my husband. He would always be very, very strict when it comes to wearing masks, when it comes to spraying alcohol, when it comes to using gloves, etc. It was so unlikely that he would be infected. And then it took me 5 days before I was able to convince him to really go to the hospital and get swabbed because he was thinking that it was just a normal flu or normal cough, because he was trying to tell me that he did not lose his sense of taste or sense of smell. He could even hold his breath for even more than 20 seconds. So he's telling me, no, 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 it's not COVID. But he was having signs like body pains and dry cough. So I was worried. So I was able to convince him to go to the hospital and to get swabbed. The next day we got the result, and that was July 1. And unfortunately, the result was positive. So we panicked. We panicked because for 1 week, you know, we were just freely moving in the house, doing our normal activities without us knowing that he was already having, the virus. But for that whole week, luckily, he was wearing mask already, protecting himself and protecting us as well. So immediately, we decided to be quarantined. We decided to be isolated from him. So what happened was, the kids and I transferred to a mini hotel. My husband stayed in the house alone. Actually, I also pitied him because, imagine no one would take care of someone who was feeling so sick, feeling so ill. But of course, we had to do that big sacrifice for the kids. So we had to transfer to another place. He stayed at home for 14 days, and we stayed in the mini hotel for 14 days also with the kids. But after 2 days in the mini hotel, my younger son got fever. So that alarmed us, that scared me. Immediately that same day when he had his fever, I brought him to the hospital to have him checked as well, and he was swabbed. That same night, I was so afraid. What I was so afraid of really happened. He tested positive as well. So we had to do a little arrangement in the hotel. So my elder son had to transfer to another room, and I had to take care of my younger boy in the same room. Imagine that one. We were using the same bed, we were using the same room, and I was praying to God, Lord, please do not let me be infected, because I don't know anymore what will happen to the kids or the family if I would also be infected. My husband is at home. We are staying in another place, but one of us was also infected. So 2 members of the family already. So day and night, even when I was sleeping, I had to wear double mask. It was difficult as well, but I had to do that sacrifice. But I want to tell you guys that my son did not exhibit any other symptoms aside from fever. For 2 days, 2 mornings only. Fever, no cough, no runny nose, no body pains, etc. But his first symptom was not fever. His first symptom was also dizziness. Okay? So that was our life for 14 days in the mini hotel. All of us were wearing masks. For me, even I was sleeping, I was wearing double masks. And I was the only one who should feed my son. And our utensils were separated. I was always sanitizing the room, the pillows, etc. Even all the utensils that he was using, I was using different sponge, different soap, etc. That was our life for 14 days. And then after 14 days, that was July 13, July 14. We were thinking that everything would be okay already. So we decided to have their second swab test, PCR test. So we would know if we could already go back home, because it was already almost like a week before the opening of classes, and of course there were so many things that we still had to prepare. So we got this. They got the second PCR. They had their second PCR test. Sadly, they were still both positive. But of course, we really had to go back home. First and foremost, like what I said, it was almost the opening of classes. Second thing, it was so difficult for us to, to make everything normal, like the food that we eat, etc. We were not cooking there. We were always ordering, and also luckily, the teachers here were very supportive. They were sending food, etc. But we could no longer just continue with that kind of routine. We wanted to go back home. So we did. But of course, the doctors said that the doctors, they had 2 different doctors, reminded us to still, protect ourselves. We had to wear masks, and they were given, medicines. New prescriptions were given. So after another week, we were all, because you see, it's like this. After 2 weeks, my husband was already okay. No more cough, no more other symptoms. After 2 weeks, he was already normal, very strong. My son, after 2 days of being tested positive, he was already okay. So we were really thinking that July 13 test, July 14, I cannot remember, would already have negative results, but unfortunately, still positive. Then we had to wait for another week. That was July 24, when we decided to have the third swab PCR tests for them. The result was okay in a way that the CT value, CT value, that's the cycle threshold. CT value was already very high. You see, from the first swab, my husband had like 15 something, 15 point something. Second swab, it became 24 point something. Third swab, it was already 36, and the doctor said it was no longer infectious, so we could do the normal things at home. However, I was still very afraid because it was still indicated they're positive. Now, for my younger boy, from 19 point something city value, it went down to 17. So that scared me. And then on the third swab test, he got already 36 point something. So the doctor also said it was non-infectious anymore. So good signs. However, they were still positive. So the doctor said you have to wait for 1 more week before the fourth swab test. Fourth swab test times 2, 8 swab tests for both of them. I also had my PCR swab test 2 times, and my elder son, got also his PCR test. Imagine that, 11 swab tests in all, PCR tests. But we had to, okay, we also needed the negative results for visa processing, for work permit processing, etc. So we didn't have a choice, but we had to do all the swab tests. Fortunately for me, twice I tested negative. So I was thinking, my God, thank you, Lord, I was strong. And yesterday, they had their fourth swab test, August 1. And today, just like 2 hours ago, I received the results. Both of them are already negative. So I really thank the Lord, for making us survive this whole crisis. I did not expect that we will be experiencing this firsthand, but it happened. It happened. See, God is really great that He did not allow me and my other son to be infected. And my child also did not suffer that much because it was so mild. That he only had fever for 2 days, nothing else. My husband, though, he had suffered for 2 weeks, but still mild. No one was hospitalized. They stayed at home, and yeah, he became okay after 2 weeks. Now, after a month, they are both negative. So, yeah, that has been the good news. I also want to emphasize that we need not get it from our mountaineering activities. I was trying to trace back the possibility where did my husband get it. Oh, that was June 25 when he had his first sign. So I had to count 4 days back. So June 22 or 21. And that day, he went to a grocery store. He went to the supermarket and to some stores nearby. Sadly, most of the stores here in our neighborhood, most of the sellers here were not wearing masks during that time. And yeah, we were concluding that he got it either from the supermarket or from the stores in the neighborhood. So please stay safe, everyone, and try to read your signs as early as possible. Please do all the necessary precautions. Be vaccinated. Don't be afraid of the vaccine side effects. Be afraid of COVID-19. Because you see, we were both vaccinated, but my husband still got it. And thankfully, he was vaccinated, so the effect was just mild, not a serious thing. I repeat all the signs for my husband and my child: dizziness and fever. For my husband, dry cough, muscle pains, severe headache. So those are the signs and symptoms that you could feel that could help you detect if you have the COVID. But look at the signs of my son: only fever and dizziness, no cough, no runny nose, no body pains, but still he was positive for a month. And the doctor said that it could still be infectious even if there were no signs. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from my sharing today, and through this, I hope to spread awareness on this particular COVID-19 crisis, COVID-19 virus, and keep safe, everyone. We're okay now. Thanks to God. Bye.